Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're once again back in Warframe for another build, and this time we're having a look at Valkyr Prime. I made a video about her last year, but DE just dropped the new changes for her kit, and so here we are today with an updated build. Funny enough, the build is very similar to what I had in the past, so if you wanna check that video just for fun, you can just use that build and it will be perfectly fine. But of course, this one is just gonna be better. I also noticed there are some lighting bugs inside the Simulacrum. You can see those like rays of light and there's some flickering and stuff happening, so I hope the fixes that because yeah, they kind of screwed up lighting somehow. I wasn't really a fan of the changes until I actually tried them for myself, and they are more interesting than you think, and she's actually quite in a good state. I think that for general gameplay she's just better than before. Anyways, that's enough introductions for now, so let's jump into the build. Let's start from the reworked abilities. Her old passive was very bad because it made her recover faster from knockdowns, which was kind of useless since she was always running Hysteria and you were immune to any damage or knockdowns while in that ability, so her passive was useless. And that has been changed to something much more interesting and much more powerful. Valkyr now accumulates these rage points when hitting or killing enemies with her melee weapons, and the more rage points you have, the more melee damage you'll deal. Additionally, if you have stacked at least 150% of these rage points, and you take fatal damage, you can avoid that by consuming your rage meter and gaining 5 seconds of invulnerability. After you trigger this effect, you can also refresh your rage points again and just repeat the process, so if you are stuck in a death loop, you can kind of survive long enough to actually deal with it. It might become too much in very high level missions, but for general gameplay or even ETA, this is more than enough. Moving to her first ability, this one is called Ripline. Before the changes, this ability wasn't exactly that great, only giving you some mobility and some fun shenanigans like I did in the old build video, but now it has been changed to a grouping tool that also gives you a lot of mobility. You can use this ability in two ways. You can either target a wall or an object or something you want to reach, or you can instead target an enemy and you also pull all enemies within 9 meters towards that enemy. And after doing that, you also perform a melee attack, and that's how you can keep up your combo count. There's also a combo window for this ability that will increase the damage it deals, but it's not in major and usually you'll just use it for the grouping or the movement. Moving on, we have our second ability called Warframe. This ability has not been changed that much, but it received a 5-second increase in its base duration, and you're also able to recast it whenever you want. They also removed the slowing effect it had on enemies, because that has been moved to her third ability, but more on that later. And allies can just enter your affinity range to refresh the duration of Warframe instead of having to wait for you to recast it, which you usually wouldn't because you are running Eternal War. Moving on to her third ability, this one should be Paralysis, but I'm using Pillage instead because although Paralysis has been changed and it is in a much better state than it was before, it is still not her best ability, and I just recommend using it as your free helmet ability because what it does is it just gives you more damage vulnerability on enemies for your melee attacks only. It also slows down enemies and usually will open them to finisher/mercy kills, which is nice and will help her build more rage points, but the thing is we don't really need that, and it's much better to have something to armor shape enemies or in general something that can give you just a little bit more damage more efficiently, and that scales much better. And finally we have Hysteria, and this ability has been kind of the problem for the community because what DE did was remove the invincibility you got from this ability and instead kind of moved it to her passive. It's much harder to keep yourself alive in very high level missions, but it is much better to use in lower level missions, which is it's what I guess most of the community does. This is a very good change for pretty much the rest of us. As I said, this ability gave you invincibility, but what it does now is, I think, more interesting because it grants you more armor, and that's kind of Valkyr's focus. What it specifically does is it multiplies the armor you get from Warcry by 3 times, and that cannot be changed by anything else, so it's just a 3x multiplier for whatever percentage you had on your Warcry. The lifesteal effect is now 100 per hit at base. The drain per second is now capped at 5 per second instead of 15, which is just so much better, and it makes actually keeping up this ability much easier. You are also immune to status effects and knockdowns and whatever, and that is very important because we can forget about Prime Sure-Footed, and that's such a relief. And the other big change is that they pretty much added guaranteed slash procs on almost all hits from your Exalted Claws, And yeah, that is crazy. And they also add guaranteed slash effect on her slide attacks, which are by far her best way to deal damage. And pretty much all her abilities have received some VFX and SFX changes, so visual and sound effects changes, and I think that's pretty good because it makes this rework feel much more different than before. So those were the abilities, let's now move on to Archon Shards. And here I've also not touched anything, they are the same as the ones I had before. So 2 Tauforge Crimson Archon Shards with ability strength, 2 Tauforge Violet Archon Shards with more melee crit damage, and that is pretty much just so much more free crit damage we get, it's not even funny. And the last one is more casting speed thanks to a Tauforge Ember Archon Shard. And this is really important because we are going to use our Ripline and our Pillage quite a lot, so it's nice to have a way to speed up those animations. And these are the mods I'm using for the build. Once again, this build has not changed that much. The only change I made was replacing Equilibrium for Hunter Adrenaline, and that's because we couldn't take damage before the changes, because we were immune to damage pretty much all the time with our Hysteria up. But now we actually can take health damage, and that means we gain free energy from that thanks to Hunter Adrenaline. That converts 45% of the damage we take on our HP to energy, and that's pretty good because we have quite the hefty energy pool thanks to Arcane Battery. Any rank above 2 will work for this Arcane because we do gain so much armor, it does not really matter how much energy per armor point you get, you'll almost always get that 1000 more energy, which is pretty good. I'm also running Seal Charge for more melee damage, the full Umbral set for pretty much all the sets that Valkyr wants, Blind Rage for a lot of power strength, and ability efficiency is not gonna be a problem because once again Hunter Adrenaline and Arcane Battery give us enough energy and energy storage to actually not care about the costs of our abilities, Adaptation to build resistance to damage, Prime Continuity for more ability duration, and Eternal War so we don't have to recast Warcry that much, and the last mod is another augment that has been changed, and that's Swing Line. This augment makes it so that whenever you are airborne, your wand does not cost any energy, and that means that whenever you just hop around and cast your wand, you won't consume 38.75 energy at all, you'll instead consume 0, and there is no cooldown, there is no negative effect, you just get free Ripline casts with just this augment, and that's just insane. And on top of that, you also gain 20% parkour velocity. The other Arcane I'm using is Multi Augmented, and this will grant us an additional 60% more ability strength after we kill 250 enemies. So as a quick recap, our one is free as long as we hop before casting it. Warcry, you only have to cast it once at the start of the mission, and once again after you fully stack your Multi Augmented. Hysteria only costs 5 energy per second, and that can be mitigated by Hunter Adrenaline, and that only leaves us with Pillage, that is our only energy draining ability, and that's why I'm running negative energy efficiency, because the energy efficiency on this Warframe with this build is just insanely good. Now moving to her talents, the build is quite different from what I was using before because that was an heavy attack build, meanwhile this one is more of a normal attack slash sliding attack build. So this is the build I'm using with Hysteria as the stance of choice because that's the only one you can keep, Dreamer's Wrath as our Tennokai because we once in a while want to cast those heavy attacks because they deal so much damage, Prime Reach, and if you have a spring-loaded blade, will give you a lot more range, which is quite nice to have, especially for those slide attacks, Condition Overload for more damage based on status types, Blood Rush for more crit chance, Galvanized Seal for more crit chance and critical damage after killing enemies, Galvanized Elementalist for status damage and on melee kill more status chance, and Whipping Wounds for more status chance depending on our combo count, and also Voltaic Strike for electricity and status chance, that way we can trigger melee influence, and that's pretty much all you need. This way, whenever we activate melee influence, we also are able to spread those lashes to all enemies in range, and once again, pretty much all her attacks now have slash, and that's insane because once again, that also applies to slides. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to her talents. Now moving to her weapons, these are the ones I personally use, but you can go with whatever. And so this is the Storm Prime, these are the Incanon Evolutions, this is the build I have on this weapon. I do have a Raven, but it's just whatever, you can swap it for something else. These are the Incanon Evolutions for the Latum, and it's just your usual Latum build, and this is the build I'm running on it. And finally, for the melee weapon, which we are pretty much never gonna use, I'm running the Okina Prime with this Incanon Evolutions, and it's just whatever, we are never gonna use this melee because we are gonna use our Talons instead. But anyways, this is the build I'm running on it, and it's actually a pretty good weapon. I'll also be running Madurai for the usual 50% more cast speed and 40% more ability strength, and the companion I'll be using is my Panzer because this is the pet I use to spread viral and debuff enemies through armor strip and stuff like that, and we also gain 1.2x more crit damage multiplier, which is all I actually need from a pet, and this is the build for his claws. And that's pretty much the whole build, so let's now see it in action. Alright, I'll have the enemies moving because I actually don't care about the damage they deal. I just want them to actually charge my energy. And usually, one slide attack or two is enough to end all of them. And that's all there is to it. That's the build. You just slide attack one time, 2 times, whatever. Doesn't really matter. Everything is dead. That's what you're gonna do in mission as well. It does not matter the level of the enemies, unless they are like level 2000. You'll usually survive anything. And I'll actually show you, like, if I just stand there and, I guess, take damage, we really aren't taking that much damage. And even if we actually start taking some damage, our passive will eventually trigger and give us some frames of invulnerability. Our shields will also recharge once in a while and give us an additional few frames of invulnerability. We can use our pillage to fully recharge our shields, and we can also heal up with our talents. So, I mean, it's gonna be really hard to die, and once again, even if you do happen to die once or twice or whatever, you can just recharge your rage points and come back to life. That's all there is to it. It's not that hard, it's not that difficult, and it's even much easier to do in a mission because there's more enemies spawning. It's not like 6 or 7 or 10 or 20 like in the Simulacrum. So I'm gonna die soon-ish. There we go. You just trigger the passive. That does not interrupt your hysteria, it does not interrupt anything. What you have to do is go back to 150, and as you saw, just having one enemy and like maybe doing some slight attacks here and there will give you so much rage points that you can just keep up your meter above 150 and just stay alive. It's that easy. That's all there is to it. You just slide into enemies and you're gonna kill everything and not die. Yeah, this is very balanced. As for your rip line, this is what it does. You just cast it on a group of enemies and it groups them up in a 9-meter radius. And it also triggers an attack, which in this case does deal quite a lot of damage. So usually what I do is going to be jump and cast it. That way I don't use any energy at all. And you can just repeat this and keep doing it, and there is no cooldowns. Once again, there is nothing to worry about. Your double jump also refreshes every time you use it, so I can just keep doing this if I wanted to. The sound changes are actually quite nice. It feels like you're actually throwing a kind of grapple onto something. I really like it, and it makes it feel much better. It also does increase your rage points, so yeah, I mean, once again, this is all you're gonna do. Just jump, cast your one, and if you don't jump, you have so much energy. It does not really matter. Just do whatever you want. It's gonna be fine. You're never gonna run out of energy, and even if you do, just take some health damage, and you'll be back to full in no time. And yeah, that is pretty much Valkyr Prime. These new changes are so much better than what I was expecting, and I think she might be one of my new favorite Warframes. She and Gara have been such a nice discovery, and their changes are just so nice and so well thought. It's just so good to have them in game. Anyways, I'll now leave you guys to the showcase where I test this build for 10 minutes in a Steel Pass Survival against greener enemies, so you can see how it performs in a more realistic scenario. If you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like, and if you like my content, consider subscribing. I wish you a beautiful rest of the day, thanks for watching, and bye bye. I've made up my mind, I just wanna be free. I live my own life in a new galaxy. I wanna be weightless in the silence of the night sky. I wanna free fall into nothing at all. I'm taking the moment, starting all over. I wanna be free and live my own life in a new galaxy.
voices around you. Wherever you go, then I know where to find you. Do you think I'm crazy for choosing love? Baby, I wanna be with you forever. I think I wanna make it go on and on. Baby, I think I could be your vibe, your vibe. Oh no, I got money, are you on run? Shit, just got a feeling that you gotta know. If you want me to forget tonight, I wanna find it tonight. I'm changing back life.
I'm a la 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 loner. La 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 loner. Every time I try to fit in, it ends up in misery. Yeah, socializing doesn't fit me, but I can get away so easy. I was born a misfit. Don't go with the cool kids. It's all overrated. No, I never missed it. I was born a misfit. Don't go with the cool kids. It's all overrated. I just didn't read it. I'm a la 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 loner. La 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 loner. La 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 loner. I'm an outlaw in this world. I'm solo dancing on